Alright, so I want to talk a little bit about this drift setup, especially the front suspension, because it's been so reliable and hasn't had any issues whatsoever. And so, first things first, let's do a bolt check. And then we'll talk about the setup and why I think it's the most reliable daily setup, even though I don't daily the car, but reliable drifting daily setup. Let's go. All right, for this setup, let's talk about the coilovers. I do have CX Racing coilovers. These are the 1410K, and they've been great so far. Not blown, everything runs as it should. You can see it says 14 there. A little bit dirty from driving and drifting in the rain. But overall, I like it. It's not too stiff, not too soft. I think when I do new coilovers, I might go similar spring rates. All right, so next thing I added was actually the excessive angle kit right here. You can see I did the standard angle kit, and you can see how much angle it has. I don't have the wheel on, but it definitely is a lot more. This is maxed out angle, I think. But it's been good to me. There's no binding at full lock, especially once you get to the Zero Ackerman kit. At full lock, you have binding because of the axle, or not the axle, the where is the tie rod? The tow rod is not positioned, you know, perfectly where it should be, and so you have to run offset spacers to fix that. And so with this excessive standard kit, definitely was enough, and the only thing I needed to do was run GS inner and outer tie rods. All right, for the uppers, I'm just running stock Moog upper control arms. I haven't replaced any of the bushings for those. I think I will do that soon. The ball joint up front looks pretty good still, and that's it for the upper. That definitely needs an update, but you know, it runs really good. Haven't had any issues. Well, the next thing I got was extended lower control arms. You can see was welded by Christian Yo, and it's held up. There's no cracks, there's no nothing. You can see he filled it up like crazy from all the way from the center rod, filled it out, and put reinforcement plates on top and bottom. And what, whole year drifting on it, nothing happened. It's still holding up. It doesn't have too much camber, so if you're into that camber stuff, it definitely isn't enough. But with the control arms, so the control arms have camber adjustment, and so right now it's set to max positive, but in combination with the extended lower control arms, I'm running about -4. So when you lower the camber in the front with the stock arms, you actually gain caster, and caster is more important for drifting because the wheel, when you drift, will self-steer more. So if you're drifting, you need to turn right transition, you let go of the wheel, and it will just spin faster with the higher caster, which was my intention. So I actually have almost 8 degrees of caster with stock arms, with no adjustable caster arms. So kind of the move, extend it and push the camber to positive as much as you can with the stock arms, but this will give you negative. So -4 setup right now. So other thing I've done was replace all of the bushings. So this lower control arm bushing is Super Pro polyurethane, as well as the caster arm, as well as the steering rack. You probably can't see it because it's really dirty. All 3 of those are filled with polyurethane, so it's stiff polyurethane material, and so steering is 10 times better, responsive. It's, I won't say stiff, it's heavy, but it reacts. So you turn a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, you're gonna feel every reaction, every bump in the road, and I definitely like it a lot. It feels good. I can definitely react a lot faster to the car when it transitions or hitting bumps and stuff like that. I'm going to calculate the cost of this whole setup, literally everything in this here setup, and see how much it cost. Besides the brakes, you don't need that. Well, you do need brakes, but I got some cheap brakes. Works great. But suspension wise, I'm gonna calculate the setup and I'll put it here. All right, so now that you know my setup, let's do a bull check and see if anything came loose in that year, and then see if the setup that I'm talking about is actually reliable. So let's I'll show you the most crucial parts of the setup that might come loose, that are common to come loose. First things first, the bolt that sandwiches the ball joint and the angle kit to the spindle. If that's not tight, I've seen people snap this bolt and the bolt gets stuck in the spindle and you're screwed. So this needs to be tight. So I'm gonna check that right now. That's tight. That's tight as well. And this, it just backed off. This will be sitting on here, so you can tell that's tight. Next common thing is this bolt right here. This needs to be tightened a lot. Like I want to say it's like 190 foot-pounds, but I just give us a few ugga-duggas and see if it's tight. So let's see, are these two tight? These are the two bolts that connect the lower control arm to the caster arm to the chassis. So let's just get it down, check for tight. Oh yeah, that's not moving. Let's see this. Yep, that's it's tight. These two are tight. Now let's check coilover bolt and don't forget to check the bolt that goes to the caster arm to the chassis. That's also a very tight bolt. Let's see. Where's the thing? Yep, that's tight. All right, so this side is all good as well. Everything was tight, nothing was even remotely loose, which is freaking amazing actually. Oh yeah, with this setup, I also run a 17x8 plus 35 with a 215 up front, and fitment, I would say half decent. I mean, I can definitely run a 15 mil or a 10 mil, or maybe even a 5, but just enough camber. Fitment is way better. And I don't rub at all at full lock to lock. Great thing. All right, so I'm not here to brag that my setup is better. I'm just letting you know that my setup has worked for me really well. And although I haven't tested any other setup, this setup just worked for me. And I want to say I got lucky because, you know, when I was first building this car, I wasn't researching like crazy, asking tons of people. The first angle kit I saw, you know, I was excessive and I was like, okay, cool, the company looks legit, I'll buy it. CX Racings, I bought the cheapest coilovers that were not eBay, and so went with that, and then did a little more research. Extended control arm seemed like a better option than running the JZX uppers because you need to run a wider track width for a more stable car. And you know, Super Pro poly bushings are, you know, kind of a no-brainer you should do when you get the chance. And so this setup has been really, really good to me, and I have no complaints, although in the future I want to go more angle, but not yet, because that means more money, less drivability, but definitely really enjoy this setup. Like, I've been to tons of events, I've drove hours and hundreds of miles to an event, drifted all day, come back, and the suspension is like the last thing on my mind. I'm more concerned about getting a flat tire than any of my suspension part breaking. And so that's how I am confident with this setup right now after going through it for so long. And I think those of you who know me or who watch the channel know that I love buying cheap stuff. I'm okay with fake stuff and some parts. Engine stuff, no way. Some suspension stuff, no way. Coilovers, I can get away with it. I'm not gonna run the angle kit from AliExpress because honestly, who trusts a $30 adapter plate to go sideways? You know, there's some legit ones that do snap eventually, and buying a cheap one is not gonna help that any better. So this setup, great. I post all the information down below or in this video. I'll probably link it just to help you guys out to this exact setup. The rear setup is completely different. I'm still kind of figuring it out, so bear with me until I build that out. But for now, this setup is great, and I hope you guys are a similar setup are enjoying it as well. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button And let's get drifting soon, man. I miss posting drifting videos. Sonoma is open now, and so that means Wednesday drifting every Wednesday. So, see you guys. Hit the subscribe button. Peace, 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 peace.